Welcome to the first episode of Voices of the Learning Network. That's right. If you have a calendar, if you have a pen, or some sort of sparkly device, you probably want to circle this date. This is our premiere episode, and we are so delighted to bring something to you that we feel like will give you additional value. So, what is the purpose of this podcast? Well, Voices from the Learning Network is really all about bringing together people who care, who do, who make, who strategize, and who live in the world of learning. If you join us, you'll hear from our directors, you'll hear from our members, and also industry partners. But hopefully you'll also hear something that you can take and use and make your day better in learning. My name is Erin Donovan. I will be the American host, and I'm very delighted to start our very first podcast with our chairman of the board, Tom McDowell. Tom, good morning, good afternoon. How are you today?
Very good, thank you. Yourself?
I am wonderful. Thank you. So, Tom, I'm going to start with a very selfish question. I want to know more about you. So, Tom, would you tell us a little bit about your story and why learning?
Oh, why learning? I always say no one grows up and is like a 5-year-old at school is like, I'm going to be an instructional designer. No, it's fireman, astronaut, cowboy, something along those lines. No, so for me, getting into learning was really off the back of being a very frustrated people manager, seeing my people being let down by poor workplace training, a lack of workplace training, and an expectation on line managers to magically become like super coaches with no understanding of what coaching was. So I believe my exact words were, how difficult can it be to create effective training? Turns out that was an optimistic statement, quite challenging. But still a fair goal and a good reason to start a career in that direction anyway.
I love it. Well, so Tom, I'm relatively new to the Learning Network, and I just want to know a little bit more. Why is Learning Network such a special place?
So I think kind of what makes it special is that everyone involved will have a slightly different version of their answer to this question. There'll be a lot of similarities, but it's quite a personal thing. For me, I mean, the Learning Network was the first kind of proper L&D group that I joined in my career. The reason being, one, I could afford it. When I was starting my career, the idea of paying, a couple of £100 a year was out of the question. A couple of £1,000 a year wasn't even, a question that was being asked. So it was accessible, it was available to me, but also the very first event that I went to, as someone who is brand new into the industry in that moment, a little bit reserved, I was able to walk up to people with 15 years experience who were the heads of learning in organizations and just talk to them. And they would just talk to me, because within the network, we were just network members, people working in the learning world, not it kind of, you lost that hierarchical feeling of it. And for me, that is the true beauty of the network, is that it is filled with people who they're there because they want to help others around them. And yes, they're going to get that help from everyone else themselves as well. So it's not totally altruistic, right? It's something in it for them as well. But I've not found anywhere else that's quite like that.
So, Tom, that's really interesting. And I have to say, I feel the same way. It's just so lovely to be able to connect with people who have similar mindsets, but yet very different experience. But I'd like to know a little bit more about the history of the network itself, because to your point, this isn't something that just started 2 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, kind of the beauty of the network is that it was set up in the early 2000s, again, just by a group of passionate learning professionals who wanted to create a space for networking, sharing best practice, mentoring, and really try and spread kind of improvement within the industry. And since then, as you say, there's been a name change. So 2 years ago now, we went from the ELN, or the e-learning network, to the Learning Network. It was a radical shift. As you can tell, that one letter change has changed everything. But what we wanted to do with that was make the name better represent the members themselves. That's the whole point, because we've never just been about e-learning. We have members who are facilitators and coaches and professional mentors and all sorts of things. And we just felt like the learning banner far better represented that. But kind of the history of it really is a history of a network that is run by its members ultimately. It's been able to shift and adapt and evolve over the years because, the members are constantly electing a new person into the board or different board members every 2 years. So the kind of direction of travel always tracks with what the membership is looking to get out of the network, which is, I think, one of the reasons it's really lasted well.
Well, I have to ask too, you have a really interesting relationship with your industry partners. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that was one thing that really attracted me, the idea of information giving rather than selling giving, which is a weird way to say that.
No, absolutely. I think industry partnership is one of those things from an internal perspective. We need industry partners for the network to survive. They support us in terms of financing the network, organizing events, getting locations, creating content. But the flip side of that is often in our space, you either don't know that a company exists or know that a company exists because it sends you so many emails that you hate them despite having never met them. And this industry partnership is exactly that. It's the opportunity to build a partnership between your business that's connected to L&D in some way with the real people, not just going straight for, are you a decision maker? No, okay, not interested in the conversation, but instead building up a bank of, really excited, energized, experienced people in the industry who are, generally speaking, really receptive to seeing cool new pieces of technology or approaches or things that they might be able to use at some point, but are not interested in being, sold to. And that's a difficult balance sometimes in the network, but it's really important that we maintain that idea of, look, our industry partners are incredibly valuable to us, to our members, but equally, there's a lot of opportunity to just talk to people in the learning world, whether that's about maybe they need your product in the future, or maybe they have ideas that you can use to improve what you are doing as a business to better appeal or to create more impact. It's really a kind of like a virtuous circle, really, in terms of they can communicate to members, but equally members can communicate back to them.
I love that. Now, we touched on the membership a bit. It's quite diverse. Whether you're an instructional designer, a coach, a facilitator, or someone who's just interested in learning. Maybe you're a transitioning teacher and you want to learn more about the corporate L&D world. But let's think too about the power of membership. So as I sign up and pay my, what is it, £29 now?
Yep, £29 a year.
Yes. What do I get for that?
Well, let's start with the things that maybe not everyone realizes. There's a badge that you can put in your email signature, so you can show off the fact that you are a member of the Learning Network. You can also put that on websites, portfolios, things like that. You get access to our members area on the website, where you can find recordings of past events, past webinars, resources, things like that. You also get access to our Slack channel with all the other members, where you can see, it's the first place we'll post about events. It's an opportunity to ask questions to this huge group of professionals in the space and seek help. It's also a space where you can spot opportunities if you're looking for work, be you a freelancer or someone looking for a permanent role. You also have access to our members mentoring program. This is just a really fantastic part of being in the network, is the opportunity to get around 5 hours of mentoring from someone else in the network that kind of matches up to what you need. And you can do that every year, not just in that first year. It's an incredible opportunity to benefit from the wealth of experience that exists within the network. We also have members-only events all around the country, different places, different topics, different speakers. We do socials as well. And you'll also receive a massive reduction in price for attending things like Connect or our conferences up in Scotland. And you'll get kind of first dibs on the tickets, as it were. Finally, you get things like this podcast, but then you also get things like our monthly newsletter, which is just full of insights from the network, from industry partners. It's kind of curating all the best bits and keeping you informed about what's going on in the learning world, which can be tricky when social media is quite noisy a lot of the time. So we work really hard to make sure that, everything we put out, everything we send to a member has real value. But also then, along with all of that, be it the events, be it all the mentoring opportunities, the contact, the community, you also know that within that, no one is trying to sell you anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's never just going to be a thinly veiled sales pitch disguising itself as an informative webinar. You can go, you can relax, you're among peers, not among we kind of pull away that competitiveness that can exist, especially when working for kind of vendor side companies.
Yeah, I love that, Tom. And you touched on Connect, and I'm going to ask you to tell me a little bit more about this because it's a very unique event. It's one day, but I think this is kind of the pinnacle of what we offer. So, can you tell me a little bit more about what Connect is?
Absolutely. So Connect is our flagship event, really. It's our annual conference, but it's designed to be from the ground up a conference with a difference. Thus, we call it Connect. It is all about connecting the network, bringing people together, giving people the opportunity to network, share ideas, talk to each other. So we do have what you might expect from conferences in terms of open and closing keynotes and speaking sessions, but we also have debates where we bring in people with really strong views, really exciting experiences. And I don't want to say we get them to argue on stage, but we get them to actually have the discussions that we have, or that we wish we could have if we had some more information. It allows people to get involved. We include lots of time just set aside for networking. And of course, we then have kind of an evening, a bit of a mixer around that as well, so that people have got a nice bit of time to talk about what they just experienced. We have a plenary session where there's a guided reflection at the end, thinking about, yes, great, we've had all these conversations, we've made new contacts. Now what next? So often that gets missed, and you go, I'll do that bit when I get home after the conference, and then you get home and you're tired and you go to sleep, and then I'll do it tomorrow, and then work kicks in again, right? So yeah, from the ground up, we have always wanted Connect to be something different, something that there is no doubt about the impact that it has after the event. So that's Connect in a nutshell.
Thank you, Tom. And tickets are available now. We will include all of the links in our show notes, not only to Connect tickets, but also to the network itself. Now, the last question for you, Tom, is about voice. The newsletter has taken the approach of really focusing not only on what is voice, diverse voices, but also how to share your voice. So, Tom, personal question. Why is voice so impactful and important?
So I think this is a great question. And again, I think the answer is different for everyone because everyone will get something else out of speaking up. But for a very long time in our industry and in lots of other industries, there have been a very small number of very loud voices. And that has been the voice of the industry, the direction in which we're moving. But more and more now, we are seeing huge value from people who are not on that very short list of people who always speak up, sharing phenomenal insight that for decades has just been lost because it stayed with that person or the people that they speak to in their workplace or close colleagues. Personally, going out and speaking and sharing ideas has challenged me to be better because it's given other people the opportunity to go, I disagree. Flip side, it's given people the opportunity to say, I agree, tell me more about that, and confirmed what I am really good at. It's given me huge amounts of opportunity that I might never have got a shot at, including joining the board of the network. Because speaking up and sharing and allowing other people, therefore, to share with you is, well, it's kind of inherent to what a network needs to be. A silent network is a dead network. It's all about being able to communicate and share with each other and looking for opportunities to allow other people to share. I think often when we talk about this, we think of the individual wanting to share constantly, but you also have a huge opportunity to use whatever voice you have to make sure other people are heard. people who you think are fantastic or doing something others should know about. So many ways that it's important, really.
Thank you so much, Tom, and thank you for sharing your voice today. We will be broadcasting and releasing once a month. So if you want to hear more voices of Learning Network, our members, our directors, our industry partners, tune in here. I thank you so much, Tom. I thank you for your time today. And I thank you for those of you who are listening, because not only do you need to have a voice, but you also need to have two ears. You need to be open to new ideas and excited about the world of learning, because this is truly the future of work. And so with that, I'll sign off. My name is Erin, and we thank you so much for joining us today.